What's going on, Wolves and Warriors? My name's Jay Stewart, and this is the Better Body Academy podcast, the #1 show for those looking to permanently overhaul their mind and body without dumb diets and unsustainable workout programs. We banish the fitness industry BS and replace it with science-backed strategies proven through countless client transformations. In the Better Body Academy, we help busy men and women around the world get unstuck and back into momentum so they start feeling strong and sexy again. Our mission is to transform 1 million lives, and you, my friend, could be next. And on that note, let's get straight into today's show. Hello guys, welcome to another episode of the Better Body Academy podcast. This is the podcast that you come to when you're sick of the dumb diets, unsustainable workout programs, and you want to work out how to figure your shit out going forward. All right guys, so in this episode, we're going to be talking about how I was a hypocrite and the horrible feeling of realizing you are a hypocrite. And so obviously that doesn't go very well with being a coach. I'm going to go a little bit deeper on this and perhaps give you guys a few lessons that you can maybe take away from it. Now, there's a reason I'm going to do this episode, and I'll explain that in a second. But I just wanted to kind of share something that has just happened, aside from receiving an epic birthday present. And that is, I just got off a mastermind call with around 12 or 13 of our mastermind students. So you might be asking, like, what the hell is a mastermind? A mastermind is when you get a group of people together and you sit down on one table, which in this case is a Zoom call, and you talk about what's going on in your life. I have never experienced the power of vulnerability that can be created by a mastermind. When you get men, particularly, who are typically just not really willing to discuss what's going on, and you create a trust container, a container whereby it's okay to talk about what's going on, talk about your progress in your health, wealth, and relationships, and also the things that are holding you back, all of a sudden you start to liberate people. And there's something about not just having coach to client chats. There's something about a group of men getting in the trenches and discussing with each other, which is so powerful. To the boys that just basically were part of that mastermind for an hour and a half, well done. Congratulations on the vulnerability, and I love you. All right, let's talk about today why I want to talk about this topic. So it's the idea of being a hypocrite as a coach. And the reason that this come up was I was having a chat to one of our coaches, Nikki, today. Now, Nikki is, if you listen to the last episode, is an absolute unreal woman's coach. She is just the best. Super vulnerable, super willing to get deep. Nikki has herself lost over 100 pounds. So if you didn't listen to her episode where she shared her journey about polycystic ovary disease, or syndrome, I should say, go back and listen to the last episode. It's tremendous. So you can obviously check it out on Apple or Spotify. And it was unreal. And Nikki and I were this morning looking at our systems and trying to work out what we're doing good, what we're doing bad. Okay, this is something that we do as a coaching group quite frequently, and we talk about, look, what can we improve upon? We started to audit our systems, and what we realized was Nikki wasn't doing very many Facebook lives outside of our own community, the Better Body Academy community. In fact, when I say not doing many at all, she was doing none. And I asked her, like, why are you not going live outside of your actual group? And she was kind of a little bit caught off guard, and I don't think she'll mind me sharing this. But what actually happened is when we got to the bottom of this, it went back to a recent 14-day challenge that we ran with a group of women. Now, the 14-day challenge included a bunch of people that weren't clients. They were people that were just wanting to get a bit of value and look at what we do. And what happened is during a live video that she did, she got caught off guard with a question that she didn't really know how to answer and felt well outside of her comfort zone, okay? And what happened was this created a pain point for her, which because she was caught out and exposed, she didn't want to come up and start talking publicly again for the fear of that pain resurfacing. So let me ask you a question. Have you ever been in that situation where something's happened to you and you've ran from it? And I think this is a completely normal thing to do. In fact, we have a fight or flight response that basically says we either stand up and fight or we run from things that create fear. Maybe it was a date that you went on which is just horrendous, or maybe it was something that you failed at, or maybe it's that you went for your first gym session and you got there and you felt like everyone was staring at you and you were like, okay, I'm never going back to the gym again. So give me a silent head nod if that's you. I think we've all done that from time to time. So I was having this chat with Nick, and she mentioned that, she had this fear and she probably didn't consciously realize it, but that was also why she hadn't gone live. So what we basically said and realized was, as a coach, what does she need to do? She needs to lead by example and she needs to go live. And this reminded me, as I was discussing this, of the time when I was called out by a client. So I was on a Zoom call a few years back with a client, and this client was, I'm not going to mention names, but he was super stuck. He was just at a point where things weren't going wrong for him, and he just had a lot of self-sabotage going on in his life, and he's like, man, I'm just like, I can't do it. And of course, I know as a coach that this is all about self-limiting beliefs and fears that we all have. And I was trying to convince him to start running at his fear. And one of the fears was going into a gym. He's like, I don't know what to do. People are looking at me. I feel bad about it. I don't want to go there. No, I can't do it. And I was telling him to run at this fear. He was describing to me the fear that actually comes up in him when he actually walks in a gym. And then he asked me, he said, Jace, what are you scared of? Turned the tables completely. I wasn't aware of what was going on in the moment. And he said, well, what are you scared of? And I said, skydiving. And when I say I'm scared or was scared of skydiving, I'm talking petrified. Right back to when I can remember I was 10 years old and, we'd go to all the theme parks. And then, you're in high school and you start to get a little bit, kind of keen and mature for ladies and stuff like that. I can literally remember being at Luna Park and all of my friends going on the rides, and I was so petrified and scared that I just refused to do it. So I become bag boy. I become bag boy, sitting at the bottom of the roller coaster, minding the bags for everyone, pretending like I wasn't scared, but I'm just like, no, look, I'll look after the bags, guys. It's fine. You guys go and have fun. I'll look after the bags. Of course, I was petrified. And that same fear carried on into my teenage years, whereby, my mates started to go into things like skydiving and these high adventure things, and I would always just be too scared. And I'd brush it off. I'd be too scared. And so this client called me out on it and said, Jace, what are you scared of? Because you're a hypocrite if you're telling me to run at my fear when you're not willing to do the same thing. That was a moment. How could I legitimately stand in front of someone and coach them to do something that I was not willing to do by myself or on my own, in my own life? When you get a coach on board, you have to understand that they are not perfect. Coaches are a work in progress as well. In fact, we talked about this in our mastermind just now. I'm as much a work in progress, trying to gradually overcome my own self-limiting beliefs as you are. A good coach is always traversing or working on traversing their own gap between the person that they want to become and the person that they currently are. And so I see, trainers in gyms all the time, and they're playing around on their phones, pissing around when the client's doing their exercises and they're not paying attention. And I think to myself, how able is this coach to help this client get over the fear that they have, to traverse the gap that they currently have? I decided in that moment that I was not willing to be a hypocrite anymore. If I was going to truly make my mark on the world, I had to, as a base level, make my mark on my own world. I had to be a leader, not a follower. So for 6 months, I prepared my mindset for how to cross this fear of skydiving. I can remember buying a skydive for my brother and sister it was either their birthday or Christmas. I even drove down to South Sydney and watched them do the skydive while I looked at them in envy thinking, man, I wish I could do that. I wish I could do that so much. So from the moment that I was called out, I went about trying to conquer this fear. And the way I went about trying to conquer this fear is a guy told me that all fears are learned. If you can unlearn the fear in the same way that you learn the fear, you'll be able to bring yourself to do the thing that you can't do. Now, for you, that might be going into a gym. For you, that might be starting a transformation. It might be starting a new career. It might be starting a new relationship. For me, the fear was skydiving. So every day on my drive from to the office, which was about 10 to 15 minutes, I'd visualize myself jumping out of a plane. And it's quite weird to think about now in hindsight, but I'd visualize the fear of like being there on the side of the plane, facing my fears, pushing out and flying. And at the start, it petrified me so much. And one of the practices that I really do believe in is using affirmations. So I repeated to myself every day, countless times, I love skydiving. I love skydiving. Oh my gosh, I love skydiving. Skydiving is my favorite thing. I'm a skydiver. I'm a skydiver. And I visualized it. You see, the brain doesn't know the difference between something that's actually happening and something that you have mentally rehearsed. If you can create enough emotion around the things that you do, the visualizations that you make, you can rehearse this in your mind and the brain doesn't know the difference between real and imagined. After about 6 months, I woke up, I called one of my mates and I said, hey, do you want to do a skydive today? And he said, sure. We drove down, we jumped out of a plane. And I just remember that moment of going from being so trapped and so scared to so free. Of course, to anyone that's skydived before, like you're sitting there just going, am I about to do this? Am I about to do this? Am I about to do this? And all of a sudden within 10 seconds, you're flying, hurtling at the speed of something like 300 kilometers an hour to the ground before the chute opens. And you all of a sudden have this peace come over you. And that's the moment when I feel that I actually stepped into becoming a coach. And it wasn't about the skydive itself. It was about the conquering of a fear. When I hit the ground, I expected to have this massive sense of elation. This kind of like, wow, I can't believe I did this. But I actually didn't. I didn't have that emotion. In fact, what I had was this feeling of like, okay, you did that, what's next? And that was because in my mind, I had skydived so many bloody times that somewhere in that 6 months of mentally rehearsing and practicing, I'd already become the type of guy that could skydive. Think about that. The fear had disappeared and I just eventually got the balls to actually go and do what I said I was going to do. Now, the reason that I am bringing this up is for a couple of takeaways. If you're watching this at home, I want you to, or listening at home, I want you to ask yourself, what are you scared of? Fear is created. We create fear in our mind. So what is it that you're actually scared of? I'm not calling you out. I'm asking you to challenge yourself and ask yourself, what are you scared of? Are you scared of failing? Are you scared of the ridicule that might bring? Are you scared that if you get outside of your comfort zone, you might get hurt, like physically hurt? Are you scared of the judgment of other people? Isn't that really strange that we construct this shackle, this mind shackle, which on the other side lies freedom. On the other side of your fear lies freedom. But I can tell you that the moment that I developed into a good coach was the moment that I ran at my fear, that I refused to be defined by my fear. And I thank my lucky stars that that client called me out on it, because if he didn't, I wouldn't have done that. I would have stayed gripped and stuck by my fears. How the fuck could I tell someone at 150 kilograms, you need to start your transformation, if I hadn't taken the first steps in my own transformation? That's hypocrisy. On a micro level, Nikki this morning, that she had this fear was that she went live in the community and talked about the fear. That's what a good coach does. A good coach steps up and doesn't go missing. A good coach leads by example and talks about their vulnerabilities. They're willing to show that they're not perfect. And I, of all people, are far from perfect. But what I am willing to do is lead from the front. I'm willing to turn up every day for myself. And by turning up for myself, this means that I'm better able to turn up for my clients, my family, my child, my friends. The same applies to you. If you can face this fear, which is holding you back head on, and I'm looking at the people that are watching this live on Facebook, and I'm talking to you directly because I know some of you watching this have this fear that is holding you back from being the man or the woman that you want to be. The fear is natural, but the fear is learned. This fear, if you continue to let it grip you, will keep you stuck. It feels disgusting to approach it. It feels horrible. It feels uncomfortable. But if you continue to let it grip you, it will keep you stuck. On the other side of your fear lies a freedom which you have never known, And as I say this, I start to recall all of these clients that I've worked with over the course of the last couple of years who have faced the fear of the gym, of the judgment, of their friends saying, what are you going to do? You're going to fail. You never stick to diets, inverted commas. The thing that you most often want to do the least is more often the thing that you need to do. I'm going to say that again because I jumbled it up. The thing that you probably feel like doing the least, that you're hiding from, is the thing that you most need to do. And it doesn't matter how long we keep our heads in the sand, when we pop our head back up again, that thing will still be there and it will grip you. And it will stop you from becoming and experiencing the things that you want to be and feel. Now, it's not easy. And there's a million different ways that you can go about this. You can work on this on your own, slowly but surely. Or you could reach out and ask for help. Well, it doesn't matter what you do. But you have to understand that this thing will continue to grip you until you do something about it. And if you're happy to remain at the level that you are, living the life that you are, and you're satisfied and you can contend with the fear, that's cool, no problems at all. I'm not judging that at all. It's not a position to judge that at all. But if you feel a sense of dissatisfaction, like you've got more in you, like I felt, I've got more in me, but I can't get this more out. I can't legitimately speak to a bunch of people unless I can face the thing that's holding me back. You'll be forever shackled. I'm going to finish on that note, guys, and I also want to congratulate Coach Nikki on being such a brilliant leader, not only for going live immediately to confront her fear, unscripted, but more importantly, for standing up in the last podcast and talking about a condition that she'd suffered so openly. And even though she had the frog in the throat, as you may have noticed, she traversed that fear. That is what a coach is about. So guys, I'm going to love you and leave you for this beautiful weekend. Thank you so much for tuning into the Better Body Academy podcast. I appreciate so much you guys tuning in and giving me your ears on a weekend. I wish you all the best for this weekend. I hope you stay warm. If you're over the Aussie side, I'm going to rub it in your face and tell you that Vancouver, Canada is going to be about 30 degrees all weekend. So we're going to be swimming. But apart from that, I appreciate you guys. I love you lots. And thank you so much for coming in. I'll see you in the next episode. Wolves and Warriors, thank you so much for tuning in. If this podcast is hitting the mark for you and giving you the confidence to start your own personal journey, I want you to hit me up on Facebook or head over to my Instagram at jstewart_BetterBodyAcademy and DM me with the words Better Body Academy. I want to give you the tools to permanently overhaul your mind and body without dumb diets and unsustainable workout programs. Our mission is to achieve 1 million lives transformed, and you, my friend, could be next. So hit me up on Facebook or head over to my Instagram at jstewart_BetterBodyAcademy and DM me with the words Better Body Academy, and we can have a chat about whether we can help you with your transformation goals.